Welcome to What a Creep, the show with Margot Donohue and Sonia Mansfield talking about creeps from the past to the present.
This is your quick guide to the biggest creeps, jerks, assholes, and losers, the best of the worst.
From two nice ladies who want the world to be a little less creepy.
Welcome back to What a Creep. This is Margot Donohue, and my cohort in creepitude, as always, is the amazing Sonia Mansfield. Hey, Sonia.
Hello, my friend.
Hello, my friend. I hope you're feeling better. Sonia had the 6 last week.
I did. I had the vid.
She had vid.
I lost my special superpowers. Now what did somebody in our comments say? I'm a plague rat, just like everybody else. No, I've recovered. I'm testing negative, and now it's just kind of a little bit of a lingering congestion and cough. So I apologize if I sound a little different, but I'm all good now. Thanks everybody for the speedy recovery vibes. I appreciate it.
And thank you for being patient, everyone. We just needed to take the time off. There's no way Sonia could have done it.
No, it would have been really icky. Nobody wants that.
It would have been a mess. So thank you. Glad that you're back, Sonia. I want to thank the following podcast for having me on to talk about my book, F This Movie, our friends.
Yeah! Love it.
The Alarmist, Max Fun, Troubled Waters. I actually sing in that episode. Badly.
What?
Yes, I know. And This Ends at the Prom. That just dropped today. And the Brooklyn Daily Eagle. Yeah. So I've had some press stuff going on. If you just check me out on Brooklyn Fitchick on Instagram and on my Twitter, and I put all the links there. Thank you all for doing that.
I can't wait to hear you on all of these. I'm very excited that you were on This Ends in Prom.
This Ends at Prom is a great one. It's a really, yeah, that's a really fun one. So anyway, it's Kevin Dillon, Patrick Dempsey.
Yeah. It's like Heaven Can Wait.
Heaven Help Us.
Heaven Help Us. Thank you. Heaven Can Wait's a totally different movie.
We should add that to Dorking Out, though, one day.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
I want to say, if you are new to this show, by the way, normally we don't have this much of a preamble going on. We're just a little sloppy. That's all right. We are the podcast that talks about creeps from the past to the present. We take turns doing this. So this week I'm going to present the creep, and then Sonia's going to present a non-creep, just to keep us all cheerful at the end so you don't feel hopeless about the world. This is an interesting creep episode because we're doing an old-timey Hollywood murder. It's got a bit of a scandal to it. It'll be super fun to talk about. You can find us at Facebook. We do have a basic Facebook page, but we rarely check it because it's just a place for people to complain about our language. We use salty language in this program.
Fuck yeah.
We have a private Facebook group. If you want to join, you do have to answer a few questions first, but look for us at What a Creep Podcast group. On Twitter, we are at CreepPod because somebody had What a Creep Podcast for 10 years and never used it.
Creep.
And we're also on Instagram. Please follow us on social media. Also, we have a basic old-timey email, whatacreeppodcast@gmail.com. Send us your suggestions for creeps and non-creeps. And if you would like to get some stickers, we'd be happy to send them to you in the mail. Sonia, do you want to talk to them about the website real quick?
I can't wait to. You could go to whatacreeppodcast.com, and it's everything you ever wanted to know about our show, but we're afraid to ask. It's got links to all of our episodes, and in those episodes are show notes, and in our show notes are sources, because we source every single thing we do, and we pay for those sources because we want to support the people who are doing the work. So go there. We're not making this shit up. People did the work for us. There's also a link to our merch shop. Holidays are coming. Do 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 do. Get some creep merch. We have tote bags and shirts. The shirts are super comfy. There's still face masks because if my voice isn't telling you anything, there's still a pandemic, my friends. It's still happening. Buy some masks. Wear your masks. I am going to add the high road can get fucked. I have been working on it, but I have been sick, so my apologies. And there's also a link to our Patreon page. You want to tell them about that, Margot?
Yes, Patreon. Look for What a Creep podcast. That's the money that we use just to keep this podcast going, to pay for the hosting costs, for the websites, also for all the news organizations that we use for our show. Patreon. I want to thank Kim and Joanna for joining us. We have a couple of very affordable options. You can do monthly. You could do a year in advance. You get the first 4 seasons of the show. Sonia, we're going to put 5 seasons up there.
What?
That's going to be my project next week after Thanksgiving. So we'll have season 5. So the first 5 seasons are up there. You will also get 2 bonus episodes a month, and you will get a newsletter that Sonia puts together, and she does a fantastic job.
Thank you. I write a horoscope in it too.
She does, and she's pretty accurate. I also, look, if money's tight, we totally get that. There's been a lot of layoffs in Silicon Valley and different places.
Truth.
So if money is tight and you can't participate that way, totally fine. Just leave us a review wherever you get your podcast. People are doing a great job of that at Good Pods and Spotify and also on iTunes. And I want to thank Orange Cat Mom and I have it over here, Minnie Punkus for Steph Birthday Girl. All of them gave us 5-star reviews. I think that's everything. Did I miss anything, Sonia?
I don't think so. I think that's everything.
Are you ready to Kid Rock?
I'm ready to rock. My name is Kid. No, we're not. We're not going to do Kid Rock. We already did that.
We already talked about him. We're going to be talking about the murder of Johnny Stompanato, actress Lana Turner. And first question for you, Sonia.
Yes.
Are you a fan of Lana Turner?
Yes, she's very beautiful.
She's
very beautiful actress from the 40s.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yes.
She was in some movies just like Ziegfeld Girl, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. My favorite is The Postman Always Rings Twice.
Mm-hmm.
I think she did Falcon Crest later on in her career. She was working right up until she passed away at the age of 74. Her name was Julia Jean Turner, born 1921. Did you know about this murder before, or have you just heard of it, but you didn't know the story?
I have heard parts of the story, but I don't know all the details. So I'm very excited.
Okay.
Because I love this stuff.
So here is just a quick intro for all of you. Lana Turner was one of the most alluring and controversial actors in movie history, with star turns in the original The Postman Always Rings Twice, Imitation of Life, and Peyton Place. She was blonde, sexy, and a supposed maneater. Whoa, here she comes.
Watch out, boy. She'll
Chew you up. She had 8 marriages. Count them. 8.
Damn. That's like Johnny Carson level. Just kidding. I don't think he was married that many times.
I think he was 5 or 6 times, but yeah, that's still plenty. She also had several lovers. Woo. In 1958, she dated the former war hero and also former mob hooligan, Johnny Stompanato. And
the name like that.
Stomp is in the name.
Yeah.
Warning, y'all. He treated her terribly. We will be talking about that today. Her only child. She had one kid that she had many miscarriages, and sometimes on the day of the birth. I mean, she really.
Oh, no.
Yeah,
that's awful.
She had a pretty tough life. Her only child, Cheryl Crane. She was 14. Cheryl, when she stabbed Johnny to death after her mother tried to break off their relationship. We've talked about this before. The most dangerous time for a woman in a relationship like that is when they leave, because that's when the person really loses their shit. Cheryl was acquitted of any wrongdoing. Johnny was that much of a bad dude, by the way. But she spent years dealing with her childhood trauma and being the daughter of a movie queen. But did Cheryl really kill Johnny? Or was she covering up for her mother? Ooh. Trigger warnings: domestic violence, sexual assault, and murder.
Murder.
Here are the links. And like Sonia said on our podcast page, you can click them on yourselves. Vanity Fair, April 1999. The Gangster and the Goddess, Fabulous story. Lana Turner's Wikipedia, biography.com, Johnny Stompanato's wiki, Cheryl Crane's wiki, also People Magazine. We love our People Magazine. Mm-hmm. All That Is Interesting, History 101, The Los Angeles Times, Daily Beast, E's Mysteries and Scandals, March 9th, 1998, with AJ Benza.
Oh, I used to love watching that.
Me too. He's such a mook, that guy. And also a site called Cinema Scholars. All right, Sonia. So Lana was born February 8th, 1921. She is from Idaho. Her parents split up when she was young. She and her mom moved to San Francisco for a while, and then her mom moved to LA, Beverly Hills area, Hollywood, when she was about 15. Lana was very popular, very beautiful, and she didn't like the book learning stuff. She was like, I'm in Hollywood, man. I'm going to hang out. I'm not going to school.
Not for everybody.
It certainly is not. Certainly is not. She was 15 years old when she was discovered, and they always say it's at this place or that place, you know, the Brahms, whatever, the soda place. Right. She was actually at Top Hat Malt Shop in Hollywood, and a man comes up to her, and he happened to be a big wig in Hollywood, and he said, "Hey, would you like to be in motion pictures?" And she looked at him right in the eye and says, "I don't know. I'd have to ask my mother." Because she was 15. She gets signed up and she signs with MGM. We've talked about MGM in the past. You get in that movie making machine there. And they give her a makeover, and they put her in fancy clothes, and they teach her how to walk and how to
It's like right out of a movie. It really is.
It truly is. Within a year, so she's 16 or 17, she was in Mervyn LeRoy's debut film, They Won't Forget, which nobody remembers, which is ironic.
But they forgot.
The thing that stood out for people was Lana Turner, 17 years old. She was in a tight sweater, tight pencil skirt, and they had her running a lot. and she jiggled in all the right places.
Yes.
And she was known then as the Sweater Girl, which is not a title she really liked very much because she saw her mother be objectified everywhere. Right. So she worked really hard to get rid of that whole, thing. Anyway, she's working regularly. This is in the 40s, and she's in all these things like I mentioned before. She has affairs with a lot of her leading men like Clark Gable, Tyrone Power, Fernando Lamas. Remember Fernando Lamas on Saturday Night Live when Billy Crystal?
Marvelous.
You look marvelous.
You look marvelous.
Kind of a dick. He beat her up when they broke up.
That's not marvelous.
No, not marvelous. He's a dickhead. You are it. I am a dickhead. He...
Remember that was a song. You look marvelous, marvelous, marvelous. It was a whole song in the 80s,
God.
right?
Do you remember either Joe Piscopo and Eddie Murphy were best friends when they did Saturday Night Live, and then Eddie did a record, Party All the Time.
Yeah,
party all the time, party.
Yeah, that's a good song.
It's a great song. It's great dance music. Well, it's Rick James.
Yeah.
One of the songs on there was also about the honeymooners, and it was
yes.
No. They try to rap it. No.
SNL was trying to do a whole music thing in the 80s. It was awesome.
It was a lot of videos they used to do back then. They were pretty freaking great. Anyway, back to Lana Turner.
Yes.
She has this very successful career. She gets married several times. If you look at just pictures of Lana Turner, she is breathtaking.
She's gorgeous.
I mean, I don't know. They just don't make them like her anymore.
Correct.
In one of her marriages, she was married to Joseph Stephen Crane, who was an actor, but not nearly as successful as she was. If you thought those were forgettable that she did before, he was even worse shit. But he had a very strong business sense. And at one point when he was previously married, he was engaged and they were married in Hawaii. That's where they honeymooned, Hawaii. And he got really into Polynesian things and tiki huts and shit like that. So he started this whole luau kind of craze. There was a thing in the 50s and 60s that people would go to these restaurants where they had tiki bars and they would just eat basically like Hawaiians or Polynesians ate. Anyway, so he did make money doing that. He marries Lana. First, she marries Artie Shaw. They go on one date. They go get married. And then he's on the show. He will be on the show one day because he's a total fucking asshole from what I understand. there's a book I have of him, but it's like 500 pages. I'm just like, ugh, it's a doorstop. So she breaks up with Artie Shaw, and she was only like 19 or 20 when she married him. And then she immediately goes with Stephen. And as soon as they get married, she finds out that his first marriage wasn't exactly he wasn't divorced from his first wife, that actually the paperwork hadn't gone through. So then she was pregnant immediately. So she's like, dude, we got to put a ring on it. So then they got remarried a year later. And then they divorced right after that, a year after that.
All right.
She was very close to her. She was an only child, and she was very close to her mother, Mildred. Mildred will be important. Mildred, she went home from school, and when she was approached to work in that at the malt shop, and she said, "Who is this guy?" And his name was Mervyn LeRoy. He was the big-time director. And her mother said, "Do you think this is the real thing?" And she says, "Mom, you're never going to have to work another day in your life." And she never did. She took care of her mother. A little codependent, but
yeah.
But, you know, which mother-daughter relationship isn't to some level?
True.
So she has a daughter named Cheryl Crane, Cheryl with a C. And Cheryl goes a lot between her father and her mother, back and forth, and has kind of this lonely existence. Her parents, Lana was really into being Lana. Lana had a lot of affairs. She was strictly dickly, like from what I could tell. Like there were no Marlena Dietrichs going on from what I could see. But she was there. She was sexually confident and had big desires and high sex drive. And she would just see a guy in tight pants, like, loading, like a union guy on set or something, be like, "What's his deal? Put him in my trailer." And then she'd go to the trailer, come out like,
"Hey man,
okay,
get it, girl. If that's what you want and you're being safe." And
that's exactly it. Yeah. Well, one of her lovers, like I said, was Fernando Lamas, and he beat her when they broke up with each other. She and her mother had a very close relationship. Her mom had also a close relationship with a doctor that would take care of her from every sniffle up to big, intense things. So the doctor was always on call because Lana was in these volatile relationships, unfortunately.
That's awful.
And it's just it's something that at the time people were just like, well, some people are just volatile, right? And so that's, her mother wanted her to settle down. That's why she kept getting married, because she didn't want her mother to think she was a tramp. But I think at like marriage number 6, her mother was like, okay, this is getting a little intense. That would be, by the way, Lex Barker. And Lex, I don't know if you recognize his name. He was one of the Tarzans in the Tarzan movie. Kind of an asshole. Turns out that Cheryl said that he was molesting her. And she was a baby at the time. So her mother broke up with him. Rightfully, got away. So she did, she had decent instincts there. She just, show business is tough on women, and you only have a few years to make it. She was getting into her late 30s, and people were saying she was over the hill, and all this crap.
It's such bullshit, and sadly, not much has changed.
No, I mean, people love to make fun of actors, and especially women that get Botox and surgery. And I'm like, but do you know how they talk about women? Like, a really hot 35-year-old woman actress is rarely with somebody her age or like 10 years older than her. Like, those guys want a 25-year-old.
Yeah. Either you're playing like the hot young thing, or by the time you're 35, you're literally playing a fucking mom or a grandma, or like that's how it is. And it hasn't changed that much. And if you don't believe me, ask someone like a Rachel Lee Cook or an Amy Smart or an Allie Lauder, right? From these are women who were
Allie Landry. No,
is that the one I'm thinking?
Larder.
Of?
No, you're right. Allie Larder from Heroes.
Yeah, they all were these hot young actresses in the early 2000s, late 90s, that the minute they hit 30, it's like, peace out.
Yeah.
Like you had your shot or whatever, and now you're all washed up or whatever, and now you're doing by the way, they're making adorable Lifetime and Hallmark holiday movies that I love to watch, which is great. But like, yeah, there's a time stamp on actresses for sure. And it's fucked up.
It's super fucked up. And Lana was totally feeling it. So it's 1958. She, by the way, Peyton Place, which is based on this very trashy novel that is a super fun read if you ever get the chance. I recommend highly. And she's great in it. I mean, she's always a good actress, but she's really, and it's possibly Cheryl was upset because it was a little too close to home, you know, like the way the part. But anyway, Cheryl, like I said, she's going back and forth between her parents and also being taken care of quite a bit by her grandmother, Mildred. And that's when we meet Johnny Stompanato. And let me just tell you a little bit about this guy. His nicknames, Johnny Stompanato Jr., he was born October 10th, my mother's birthday, 1925 in Woodstock, Illinois. Italian, who served in World War II in the Marine Corps, decorated veteran. His names were Johnny, Jack, Handsome Harry, Johnny Stomp, Johnny Steele, John Steele, and Oscar.
How do you go from Johnny Stomp to Oscar? That's a weird nickname.
He serves in the military with honors, like I said. And then while he's overseas, he met his first wife, and her name was Sarah Atush. I think it's Atush or Atush.
But her nickname was Marie. Like
Tushy McGill. I don't know. It's like she
went by Tushy.
She was Turkish. They met. He was stationed in China, and they wed right away. And then he actually converted to Islam to marry this person. He was madly in love with her.
Wow.
He brings her back to Woodstock, Illinois. They have a son, John Stompanato III, and he promptly leaves her to go to Hollywood. And
cool.
Never sees the kid.
Oh, Johnny Stomp.
Oh, Oscar. She sues him for divorce because he left her.
Yeah.
He moves to Hollywood, and he's working for Mickey Cohen, who's a big-time mob guy in L.A. When he's being his bodyguard. When he's not being his bodyguard and he has some downtime, he goes to the clubs and he seduces men and women, puts something in their drink, has sex with them, takes pictures of it, and then blackmails them.
Super cool and normal.
Yeah. Yeah. Great guy.
What a fucking creep.
Yeah. He married an actress named Helen Gilbert in 1949, but they divorced in a few weeks, and she said it was a big mistake. He worked at a gift shop that was not really a gift. Like I don't know if I ever told you this story, but there was like a candy store in Glen Cove, and the kids were not allowed to go to the candy store. And we just were like Tony Soprano types were sitting in there.
Oh, yes.
And Mom says, don't go in there. And we were like, so of course we went in there. And we would say, like, do you have any wacky packs? Like, I got your wacky pack right here. Go. I didn't realize until Donnie Brasco. I saw Donnie Brasco. I'm like, oh, it's a front. Oh, okay. So Johnny gets this job at a ceramics shop, and it made the worst tchotchkes and ceramics you'll ever see in your life. And it's the Myrtlewood gift shop in Westwood. He's also part of this crime family. He does this for a while. He also is sleeping with lots of women like Janet Leigh and Ava Gardner, and he's super hot. He's very handsome, and apparently he's a stud. Like he knew how to do things.
All right.
Frank Sinatra.
He knows how to do the things.
He knew what buttons to push, let's just say.
Gotcha.
Sinatra got upset when he was, sleeping with Ava Gardner because that was Sinatra's chick. So Sinatra...
Hey, that's my thing.
Exactly. I'd beaten women. I'd date them all. Okay. So Sinatra goes to Mickey Cohen and says, please, please keep Johnny away from Ava. And Mickey Cohen told him, I never get between men and their broads. So... Anyway, he starts dating a few women, and then one day he gets on the radar of Lana Turner. He sees her on a set and he's like, is she single now? And they're like, oh yeah. And if she likes you, it's pretty, she's got to like you. But if she likes you, it could be, an open and shut deal. He pursues her aggressively. First, he tells her that he's 5 years older than he actually is because she's a little bit older than him. And he thought that would make her insecure or whatever. Because she seemed to like older dudes, like in a relationship. Because he didn't want to just a wham bam. He wanted to I would be in a relationship with you. I don't know why I did that accent, but
I'm looking to get married so that we could get divorced within a week.
I'm looking for my fourth wife. Is it you? He pursued her aggressively. He called her nonstop. He'd send flowers to her wherever she was. He would send gifts for Cheryl. He was really, really into Lana Turner. And so she finally was like, fuck it. We'll go on a date. And they hit it off.
All right.
And by hitting it off, I mean, sometimes he hit her and sometimes they had big fights. But she loved him, or she thought. Yeah. She also claims that one time he drugged her and took nude pictures of her and kept it as evidence in case she ever left him. Not a great guy.
No, not a good guy.
He's the creep, by the way, in case you're wondering.
He's the creep.
He's the creep. She was filming in September of 1957 in London with Sean Connery, who might be an episode one day, or just like a mini-ep. And the movie's called Another Place, Another Time. I've never seen it. Johnny shows up in London with flowers, and he's like, hey, you're not returning my calls, Lana. And Lana runs to her trailer, and she's like, I don't know. I don't know what he's doing here. He shouldn't be out of the country. Whatever. So he goes up to Johnny Stompanato had a gun on him, and he goes up to Sean Connery and's like, tell me where Lana is. And Sean Connery grabs the gun away from him and punches him out and knocks him out flat.
I like that.
Yeah. Scotland Yard shows up and they deport him back to LA. And Sean Connery is, I did that for you because I'm very brave. And Lana's like, wow, you are so brave. Did you know that he's friends with Mickey Cohen? And he's like, fuck. So he took off for a couple of weeks.
He changed his name to Roger Moore. And
so they're dating. She comes back from America, and she's flattered. I mean, these relationships, there's a lot of reasons why people stay. When he's not being an asshole, he makes her feel good. He makes her feel young and sexy, and he's all attentive when he's not being a shit. You have to understand, people have several sides to themselves, and she sees something. I don't know why I'm making excuses, but there's always a story to tell around it.
Yeah, no, because we have empathy for people. There's a lot of reasons why people stay in the relationships that are not good for them. They're too scared to leave because they think that this is love. We all have our stuff.
Yeah, we do all have our stuff. And they were only dating for a short time. I mean, I think she thought maybe it'll turn a corner. Maybe I can tame him. There's always kind of that sort of thing.
I can change him. It's not always like this.
I feel safe when I'm with him because he's super tough.
Yeah, or they think it's all like they dangle this what the relationship could be
right
in front of them like a carrot, and it's like, if I could just get past this one thing, this relationship would be perfect. And that shit don't work out. But
not always. No, not usually. No. He love bombs her. Then he's very possessive. They have these screaming matches, fights. She's also he's not the most elegant person. She doesn't feel like she could take him to classy events. One of them being March 26, 1958 at the Academy Awards. She was there. She was nominated for Peyton Place, and someone else won instead, but she was able to present the Best Supporting Actor award, and I believe it was to Red Buttons. She looks great. She's in a tight dress, and she's just tan as anything, super went to Capri and tanned the shit out of herself. And she goes up there, 37, 38 years old, and she looks amazing. And he's watching this on TV. She did not bring him as her date. She comes home, and they have a huge fight about it. And he beats her. And then she kicks him out.
Good for her.
Yeah. So a week later, it's Good Friday. Not a Good Friday for him, by the way. April 5th. And she was at the time living at 730 North Bedford Drive in Beverly Hills. You could look this up yourself, but the people tore it down and put something else up there instead. But anyway.
Okay.
She and Stompanato are having a fight, and Cheryl is staying with her that night. And they're screaming and they're yelling at her. He's calling her the C word. He's threatening to cut her face because
Oh my gosh.
that's her beauty and that's what she's known for. I'm going to make sure that nobody's going to have you if I can't have you. You're making a fool of me. How dare you go to this thing without? And she's like, get out, get the fuck out. We're done. And she's screaming at him. And then Cheryl can hear all this because it's reverberating through the house.
Yeah.
So Cheryl runs to the kitchen and grabs a knife. And then that's a knife. And she goes,
She brought a knife to a gunfight.
she did. She goes into the bedroom and she's screaming. First, the door is locked. So she's like banging against the door, like, please let me in, please let me in. And they would quiet down a little bit and then they get angry again. So she's like banging, banging, banging. Lana lets her in and she just comes running in. And according to them, he's lunging at Cheryl and she just puts the knife out and then he somehow fell on it. But he gets stabbed in the stomach. And then Cheryl pulls the knife out and he falls on the floor and he says something along the lines of, you killed me. And so Lana is screaming. Cheryl is screaming. What the fuck do we do? So Cheryl calls her mother, Mildred, and Mildred's like, I'll be right there. So Mildred comes over and then she's like, okay. And Lana tried to give him mouth-to-mouth resuscitation. She's slapping his face. She's doing everything she can. And Mildred calls their doctor, their private doctor, to come over. He comes over and he's like, oops, looks dead to me, but okay.
Yeah.
Gave him a shot of adrenaline, did everything. While they're all doing this, and then he says, you got to call the cops now. So Cheryl, in the meantime, dropped the knife in the bathroom sink. And then somebody decided to wash the knife for some reason.
Okay.
Then,
well, it's a perfectly good knife.
Yeah, well,
you need to wash it. Use it again.
You could use it again. They call the police, and the police, they have like a APB that goes out, whatever, and reporters could hear these things, right? So reporters would show up at crime, and they do that to this day. That's how they find out about these things. I had a friend that worked for the mayor's office in Brooklyn, and she's like, had to keep hers on all the time. And she says, you don't rest well when those things are going because you're just right. Anyway, so journalists are showing up at Lana's house, entertainment journalists, not crime reporters. And they're walking around like, hey, Lana, it's me, James. Oh, it's me, Martha. Like they're for friend. They like her. They've been to this house before.
Just walking around the crime scene.
Just walking around the crime scene. And they go into Lana's bedroom and it's all pink. Everywhere pink. Which I love for some reason. I just think it's dope. Cheryl's with her grandmother, like hyperventilating. Like she's 14. She's completely upset. Lana's freaking the fuck out because she's like, he's dead. What's going to happen? And then she says to her doctor, should I take the blame for this so that Cheryl doesn't get in trouble? Because she's really worried about what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And he says, no, just tell the truth. Because this is completely justified. This guy's an asshole. Everybody knows he's a creep.
Yeah, and he's kicking her ass.
Yes. Yeah.
It's justified.
It is justified. So the cops are like, okay, we have to take Cheryl to juvenile hall. We have to like book her. And it's a Friday night that this happens. So Cheryl has to stay there till Monday. So she's there, I know. And Lana goes to the police station to give her statement. And then, holy shit, people all over the world know about it pretty soon. And immediately people are like, did Lana really do this or was this her daughter? Because people just don't know, right?
Yeah.
So there's an Inquisition. The Inquisition. What a show.
The Inquisition.
And Lana shows up in her best suit and Cheryl shows up and Lana is meeting with a judge And Cheryl's made a temporary ward of the court while her mother is preparing. But so like a week or two later, there's this very famous 4 hours that Lana's on the stand. And the judge is trying to decide, are we going to charge with murder? Are we going to justifiable homicide? What are we going to charge them with? Because there is a dead person here. And one of Johnny's brothers came out from Woodstock, Illinois, and identified him. And he made a big ruckus in the press, like, we want to know what happened.
Who's the upstanding citizen, Johnny Stomp, also known as Oscar, also known as Harry.
Johnny Steele, Jack, whatever you want to call him.
He's a great guy.
He gets a military funeral, by the way, because that's what you get to do when you are.
That's true.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Lana is on the stand at this inquest, and she's on there for 4 hours, and she's wearing her best suit, and she looks gorgeous. And she gives a performance of a lifetime, as they say. She's like, oh my God, we both reached for it. I tried to stop. I tried everything. And she's like, she had gloved hands.
And we both reached for the gun.
We both reached for the gun. Lip shits. Yes. So anyway.
He had it coming.
He had it coming.
This isn't in Chicago, but that's fine.
So Lana is really, she's giving this performance and she's saying everything that's happening. And basically it's ruled justifiable homicide. They're like, there's no way these women were terrified of this guy. It was just one stab wound. It wasn't, of course it was an accident. Yeah. People were like, you found him. He was basically on the floor and there wasn't like blood everywhere. Some people guess like maybe he was actually stabbed on the bed and he fell on the floor. Like, who knows? But Cheryl is then sent to live. Her parents, they don't give them custody of Cheryl. They give the custody to the grandmother. And then Cheryl has to goes to private school. She starts dropping out of school and she gets in with a really fast crowd. And by the way, Cheryl, I didn't mention, was beautiful. Like at 14, she was like 6 feet tall and has her mother's features. And so very striking.
Probably getting a lot of attention she didn't.
Right. Also, people were saying that the rumor was Cheryl wanted him for herself. And so Cheryl fucked around, found out, whatever. Like she stabbed him because she was jealous.
I'm not buying it.
Well, 2 things. 1, she's 14. It doesn't matter what she does or doesn't want. 2, she said he was molesting her. He as well.
I believe that.
Me too. And 3, Cheryl's gay. She's queer. She got not into dick. Doesn't has no interest in it. But that's something she can't say. I'm sure she couldn't even tell herself. Like she was still dating boys in high school. Yeah, but but she makes it very clear in her biographies later. Like her autobiographies. Like no, I'm not into. That wasn't my thing. But she's in and out of school. She goes to these wayward home for girls. She's like in the court system. She gets caught with drugs. She gets caught shoplifting. She drops out of school. She starts modeling. And her life is a lot of drinking, a lot of drugs, a lot of hanging out with a rough crowd. Because by this time, it's the 60s and she's in Hollywood.
Okay.
And Lana and her father try to the best to like steer her right, but she's just going through a thing. Like she's got to kind of get through it.
Well, that's kind of going to fuck with your head.
Well, yeah. Lana after this does Imitation of Life, which is one of her biggest parts she ever had, and her career's fine. Like she does Life magazine. She always has to talk about it, and for the rest of her life, there were these rumors that she was covering for her. She was the one who really killed him, and her daughter took the blame. Not true. Not according to Lana, and not according to Cheryl. Cheryl later on would write her autobiography and talk about. It's called Detour: A Hollywood Story. And after she went through all the crap she went through in high school, she started working for her dad at the Luau restaurant. And turns out she had a head for business and a bod for sin. But she loved it. She loved working in front of the house. She loved doing the business side of things. She loved working on advertising. She loved doing the word of mouth. She liked interacting with the customers. She was like a perfect employee because she could do all the jobs. And
Yeah.
she goes to Cornell University to study business management, graduates, and then works for her father, and then works for him until he passes away, and that business closes. And the luau thing just kind of lost interest in the 60s. And then when she met her girlfriend, and her girlfriend's, it's Joyce Leroy, but everybody calls her Josh. They meet.
Another nickname.
They meet up in the 80s, and they got married in 2014, and they're still together.
Oh, I love this.
Cheryl's alive and well. She was born in 1943, and she became a real estate agent, and she's a really good real estate agent. She made a lot of money doing that. And
dang,
when Lana died, she had left $1.5 million. She should have had more money, but they didn't pay him well, But she worked until she died. I mean, that woman was working. She left $1.5 million to her maid that she had for 30 years, and she left $50,000 for Cheryl. And Cheryl was like, that seems a little out of balance. The maid said, "Oh, Miss Turner, she told me all the time that it was Cheryl, like that Miss Turner was the one that killed." Well, she heard two stories. One, that Cheryl isn't the one that killed him. It was Lana. And then she was like, "Oh no, Cheryl says she and her mother had a close relationship, but in the end, she found it harder and harder to get in touch with her mother, and it was the maid that was the person that was in the way." So the maid inherits $1.5 million, and then the maid wants to write her own book about Lana Turner, terrified of her daughter because she stabbed a guy to death. But she did it in self-defense, and she did it for you.
Yeah.
I did this for you. I do this for you, Damien. Like, she did it for her. It wasn't for any other reason. But anyway, it all got sorted out. Johnny Stompanato's family tried to sue Lana for $1 million. They were like, "How about 20 grand?" And they're like, "Okay, fine." And they gave it to Johnny
they just
Jr.
wanted money.
They just wanted. Yeah, and I guess there's a certain amount of like justice. I mean, he was their son, he was their brother. I mean, he was imperfect to them, but anyway, so his son got some of that money. But in the end, she died. It was very peaceful. She lived to be 74. And like I said, Cheryl's still with us, and they still talk about this. And it's the Curtis, the movie with, I'm sorry, I'm blanking on the name. Hollywood. What is it? LA Confidential. Sorry.
Oh, yeah.
So the story has been used in many stories about LA. People have fictionalized many different accounts. So in LA Confidential, Johnny Stompanato is a main character that's in there. And I haven't seen the movie in a long time. But there's a great scene where it's Johnny and Lana having dinner, and then Guy Pearce is playing the detective. And he goes like, "Oh, here you are with this like cheap Lana Turner lookalike," and Lana Turner like throws a drink at him because it was really Lana Turner. It's a great movie. I haven't seen it in a long time.
It's a really good movie.
Yeah. So anyway, that's our story today. That's our creep, Johnny Stompanato, and it's the murder of Johnny Stompanato on What a Creep Today.
Good job, Margot.
Thank you.
That is a really good one. Should we take a break and then we'll do our Not a Creep?
Yes.
Okay. Are you ready for our non-creep?
I'm ready for my non-creep.
Creep! Okay. So I decided to go with the daughter of another like old school Hollywood actress. She is the daughter of Jane Mansfield. No relation. No relation, y'all. Margot, do you know who Mariska Hargitay is?
Never heard of her.
Never heard of her. Also known as Olivia Benson.
Yes, of course I know.
Yes, I'm sure everyone knows who she is. She is in Law and Order Special Victims Unit, which has been on for
25
forever. Something like that. It's been on since 99, and it is still on. So, and I tried to spell this all out phonetically, y'all. We all know how bad I am at names. So, Mariska Melodona Hargitay was born January 23rd, 1964 in Santa Monica. She's the daughter of actress and 1950s era sex symbol Jane Mansfield. Again, no relation. Her father was a former Mr. Universe, Mickey Hargitay.
Yep. Arnold Schwarzenegger played him in the movie.
Oh,
Lonnie Anderson played her. Yeah, played Jane, and he was there. Yeah.
I didn't know any of that. So Mansfield and Mr. Universe were divorced shortly after Mariska was born. Mansfield married another director named Matt Clymer. He directed the movie Bus Stop, in case you're wondering.
Oh, yeah.
And then by the summer of 1966, Mansfield and Clymer had filed for divorce, and she had a new boyfriend. His name was Sam Brody. So on June 29th, 1967, Mansfield and Sam Brody were in a car driving with Mariska in the back. And it was a very bad car accident that like ripped the top off of the car, and it killed Jane Mansfield and her boyfriend and the driver. But Mariska was in the back seat and was sleeping, 3.5 years old. But she does have like a little scar on the side of her head, like a little zigzag scar. And it was her and her brothers in the back seat, but they all were like minor injuries. So they were raised by their father and his third wife. Hargitay grew up. She decided to be an actress. She made her film debut in the 1985 movie Ghoulies, which I have seen. And she's the best thing in it. like she's a star. Like she shows up and you're like, who's that? Like she's a star. And honestly, it's a very ridiculous movie, but it is fun to watch because she, as Olivia Benson, which is what we all know her as, it's a very serious, heavy role. And to see her in something ridiculous like Ghoulies is actually really fun. So, like I said, she did a ton of movies and like TV roles, like guest starring roles, but she's really known for Law and Order Special Victims Unit. She's won an Emmy, a Golden Globe for that. So in 2013, she got a Hollywood Walk of Fame star next to her mother.
Aww.
Which I love.
Yeah.
But here's why I picked her for non-creep. So because she plays Olivia Benson on the show, she gets a ton of mail from women who've experienced trauma. And women who watch the show feel a connection to her. And so they write and they share their stories with her. And she has become a certified rape counselor so that she can address these letters properly with people. Wow. Isn't that amazing?
That
like
is
she
amazing.
Didn't have to do that. But she did that. She wants them to know that they're not alone and she wants to help them. So she became a certified rape counselor. And then she founded a foundation called Joyful Heart Foundation. She started that in 2004, and it provides support to survivors of sexual assault, domestic violence, and child abuse. And it sends women and children on like these therapeutic programs in New York and Los Angeles and Hawaii, which I was like, and it has like yoga and meditation and massage and journaling, and also swimming with dolphins. You could swim with dolphins. That. Yeah. And she said that she started that foundation because so many people that are victims of sexual assault and domestic violence and child abuse, they feel isolated and they feel this overwhelming shame. And she's like, that doesn't belong to them. It belongs to the people who did this and not you. And she wants them to help. She wants them to find some joy and some peace. And so that's hence the yoga, the meditation, even the swimming with dolphins. It's about like finding some joy. This foundation has also worked to send like rape kits to like places that can't afford them, like pay to help process them, I should say. So like Los Angeles is one of the places. Where's the other one? Michigan, paying to process those rape kits, and also offering like care, like kits for women who are in shelters, you know, but they put together with again in Los Angeles mainly. And she also produced a documentary called I Am Evidence, and it's about like thousands of untested rape kits.
Yeah.
You know, it's a thing. Like, she is definitely not a creep. I just love her.
She's great. She's great. And I'm glad you picked her. And yeah.
I thought a little side note too. I know everyone loves like her and
Elliot?
Chris Maloney. Yeah, Chris Maloney. She's the godmother of like one of his children.
Aww.
And he, by all accounts, seems to be not a creep and like is sharing like a lot of really good content on his social media channels, like standing up to bullies and stuff like that. But I'm focused on her at this time. So that's our non.
Oh, that's awesome. Great job, Sonia.
Thank you.
That's our episode this week. Once again, we love it when you use the Annie Potts GIF. We got one from Ghostbusters when you're reaching out to us on social media, when you have ideas for creeps and also especially non-creeps. Sometimes that's the toughest part of the show is coming up with a good non-creep. Also, please reach out to us via email, whatacreeppodcast@gmail.com. That's another place you can reach us. The Patreon page, all those places you can support us. We really appreciate it. And, if you like the sound of our voices, we do co-host a show called Dorking Out. And Sonia, what are we going to be dorking out about next?
We have a special guest on the show.
We do.
Her name is Jennifer Wood, and she wrote a book called A Curious Movie Buff, I believe is what it's called. She's from Mental Floss, and she's joining us. We're going to talk about Hereditary, a nice little fun holiday lark called Hereditary. That movie's going to fuck you up. It's a good movie, though. It's a good movie. And I'm really looking forward to this conversation because there's a lot to talk about.
And it's one of Sonia's favorite movies of the year that it came out. And Toni Collette is the star. And Sonia was very upset that she wasn't nominated for an Oscar.
Yeah. And actually, I'll be wearing my Nominate Toni Collette, You Cowards shirt for that recording.
So that's coming up this weekend. In the meantime, Sonia, where can they find you?
You can find me at thesoniashow.com and The Sonia Show on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook and the TikTok. Where can people find you, Margot?
You can find me at Brooklyn Fit Chick for Twitter and Instagram. My site is brooklynfitchick.com. I'm at Margot Donahue on TikTok, and my book is called Filmed in Brooklyn. It's available everywhere. It makes for a great holiday gift.
Yes, get it.
So get it, get on it, and, be good. Take care of yourselves. Wear your masks. Rest when you need to rest. Don't be a creep.
Be a creep.
Thank you for listening to us talk about creeps. You can follow us at What a Creep Podcast on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
But don't follow us too closely.
You can email us your creepy stories at whatacreeppodcast@gmail.com.
But please keep your dick pics to yourself.